This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Malcolm Pally, of course, the chairman and co-founder of Coinsilium Group. Thank you very much for your time. Happy New Year, Malcolm. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, Mark. Happy New Year to you.
Well, thank you for joining us. A couple of updates from Coinsilium recently, of course, the portfolio update and then the announcement about the strategic collaboration with Otomato. So let's just talk briefly, if we can, first of all, the portfolio update. Can you sort of give us the highlights, really?
Thanks, Mark. Yes. Since we last spoke, we've had two sort of meaningful pieces of news out. We released a strategic portfolio update on the 18th of December. What we wanted to do was recognize it's going to be around 6 months before our year-end results come out, but we have something that we can actually sort of look back on the year and look back where a selection of our investments and advisory clients are, and really give this update in a timely fashion. And it just sort of, we've selected the ones that we think that investors should look out for, and given the progress update and quite a lot of things have happened. So I would urge people to go to that announcement and sort of have a look at it, because that is probably the latest, most current stake in the ground view of where Coinsilium is and where it expects to be over 2025, which we've lined up for a seminal year. Certainly, we have it lined up for a seminal year for us. Out of the companies that the projects and the investments that we talk about, we've announced on the a further update with Otomato, which is one of the projects that we're quite excited about for 2025, and that was actually featured in the 18th of December strategic portfolio update. So Otomato is a project that we invested in July. We have a stake in it for around 7.5, equivalent to 7.5% of the founder level. Of course, that's all pre the fundraising, but nonetheless, it's a meaningful stake. And we also have in the vesting terms and the terms of the the simple agreement for future tokens that we've entered into, we also have an entitlement to receive 7.5% of revenues generated by their platform up to the point that they do their token sale, because this is ultimately Otomato will be doing a token sale for their project. So what is their project? Well, they're pioneering a platform which is specializing in a real buzzword at the moment, which is autonomous agent-based solutions, which another term used is AI agents. And agents is kind of an interesting buzzword. I love the buzzwords that people come up with in this industry, and it kind of makes it look like they're sort of little robots and nanobots and whatever, which effectively they're programs. But because AI is kind of these large language models, as again they're referred to, they learn experientially and they develop and they learn, they adapt from what they learn. So it kind of fits that you could call them agents. And what they're actually doing is what the platform does is allows people to create their own agents and their own kind of strategy to deploy those agents in DeFi to actually, accelerate yields from their strategies, and it's all quite extraordinary development in technology, which is has phenomenal potential. It's already proven to be more effective, more efficient than directly sort of thinking of your own strategy at any one time. These AI agents are the success rates they have are quite extraordinary. So what we announced on on the 2nd of January last week was a collaboration agreement with Otomato, and this serves two purposes. The first purpose serves a purpose for us and a purpose for them. The purpose for us is that as we go into this new bull cycle, and we have already a treasury of crypto with Bitcoin, we want to, we don't want to just sit around and just wait for the price to go up if there are other opportunities to enhance the yield we get. Likewise, we'll also be receiving crypto from projects that we're advising, and also from investments we've made, particularly, for example, with Yellow Network, which has their token launch, which is expected to be a very significant token launch on a major platform, major exchange, this quarter. So once those tokens that we're entitled to start coming in, this cryptocurrency is going to be available for us to either sit on, use for other investments, or keeping the lights burning, whatever we need to do with them, because it will be effectively equivalent to revenues, or in the case of the advisory fees that we get, and from the vesting of our investments, those funds will be a return, an exit, a liquidity event. So what do we do with that? Well, the advantage of having this deal with with Otomato is that we can then start looking to deploy those funds into models that can actually go to work for us. So rather than sort of think about it as a really smart savings account where you put your money in the bank, they go out and do the smart stuff, make themselves a lot of money, and then pay you 2 or 3% interest. Well, we're going to be doing the smart stuff and in a low risk, high yield sort of scenario, because that's part of that process that Otomato can do. So that's what it serves for us. And of course, for Otomato, what it does is it gives them a working case model for their token launch. So what they can say when they're already sort of, as we said in the update we put out, that their platform is already I think it's 90% built already. So that's significant. That the engine is now 90% complete. They'll launch the actual platform, and then the token sale will come after that. So it gives them a showcase, and quite a significant showcase, because as a public company, it's good for them to actually be seen to be working with a public company. So it's a kind of win-win on that basis. And so we're quite excited about that. And just final sort of thing for people to take away with them is that, it's not just about generating the yield. It's also about sort of ensuring that we actually keep our funds and recycle them in the most efficient way we possibly can. And with the trends that we're seeing at the moment, which is what people are doing with Bitcoin, we believe that we want to end up at the end of the year with a significantly higher level, a larger amount of Bitcoin in our treasury than we start with. And that's something that we are positioning ourselves to do. So this is kind of the first step, or the first announcement of what we're going to be doing with our treasury, to actually create more value for the company and for and thereafter for shareholders from that. And this is one key factor is the yield optimization through various strategies that that Otomato can achieve.
Okay, good. So effectively, you've got your Saft agreement there that will effectively give you about 7.5% of the total issued tokens when they do indeed.
No, it's 7.5% of the revenue. It was equivalent to the starting point. Once. It's like with any company, you start off with an amount and then you go and raise money and you get diluted. So we will inevitably, depending on the size of their launch, their sale, and also, we're also in at the earlier stage. So that figure will kind of move up, our percentage in nominal terms will go down, but the size of our stake in overall terms will increase in value, provided they do what they say they're going to do. So we'll from that's separate from the collaboration agreement. That's our
Yes.
investment in Otomato. But if it wasn't for the investment in Otomato, we wouldn't really be in a position to actually have them engage with us. But we've got a pretty good ongoing relationship with them, which is it's very synergistic, and the guys. Our guys get on well with their guys, and we're looking at opportunities together. So when this opportunity came up, they sort of it was a no-brainer. It was done very quickly, and we realised it's something we should really not hang about with for.
So the collaboration is really about using your expertise and their expertise together, and putting that together with your treasury to help manage the treasury going forward as well.
That's a starting point. Yeah, it's their expertise in terms of actually the process, the functionality. Our expertise is kind of more helping them to position themselves for their launch. So we've given this as a sort of a way of showcasing that.
Okay, right. Okay, I understand. Okay, that's fine. And in terms of getting your return on this, let's say, or getting your win back to Coinsilium from this, how can that sort of look like? Or is it difficult to sort of say at this stage?
Look, it's very simple. On a very sort of basic level, we're plugging in their technology to ensure that our crypto treasury is not just sitting around waiting for the moment for us to actually see the price of some tokens gone up and then we exit, which is the standard way of dealing with it. You wait. It's actually about using trading strategies, which we've detailed in the announcement. So there's, as an examples, we will put their technology to work in yield arbitrage, delta neutral strategies, and stablecoin perpetual swaps as examples of how of the strategies that could be used, and plugging in their bot, their AI agents and devising strategies using them will kind of enhance the yields we'll get on the funds that we have.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. But in terms of the agreement, the Saft you have originally with them, I think sometimes it's a little bit tricky to perhaps try and put a value on the projects, how that relates to Coinsilium.
You're really starting off with, this is always the challenge for Coinsilium, but it's always it's where the opportunity is. So in that respect, we wouldn't have it any other way. What we are trying to do is get involved in projects before there's any real value in any fundamental terms, but where there is a combination of a great team, great idea, ability to execute, and we're getting that right. You don't get it right all the time, but in the likes of Yellow, we were the first investors in that, or certainly not the first, but we were very early in that. And Otomato is another project in a similar ilk. So it's a question of whether you are speaking to the entrepreneurs, these guys who have got an idea, a concept, and how developed it is at what time you meet them. So we happen to meet they're introduced to us as kind of when they were sort of looking at angel investors. So very early days when we invested early this year, but we recognize what the guys have done, what they're doing, and the more importantly, the route that they were introduced to us from, which was kind of credible, which gives us the opportunity to sift through ideas without doing too much, research and legwork, which is kind of, it's a cumbersome thing to do, when you're evaluating a project. So, the short answer to your question is that it's now got significantly more value than it had, but it's still got an awful long way to go, because the token launch is what they're gearing to, and that's when we get a value crystallization kind of moment, and it's how much they raise in their token launch, which is slated for this year. But they've got to build their platform their platform's 90% completed. That will they're doing it in a very pragmatic way. So their platform's 90% complete. They'll launch the platform. We'll get a percentage of the revenues that are generated from the platform before the token launch. And when the token launch happens, we will get our tokens.
Yeah.
And that will be when you can articulate some value, because they'll see how much they've raised in their launch, what the percentage of that represents, and that's how you get your market cap. So we're quite excited for two reasons. Firstly, because we recognize that the timing couldn't be better when everyone's talking about AI agents, and even in the crypto space, you put the combination of crypto and AI agents. That's one of the sectors within the crypto space that is really on fire. So they recognize this, and they're sort of fast tracking everything, which we've said in our update that this is one that is really being fast tracked to launch. And also it's kind of, we'll get our sort of return on that, but getting the revenues as a kind of safeguard against waiting too long if there's any delay, at least in the actual launch, at least we'll get a share of revenue up to that point.
And that's the key, isn't it? Is these crystallization sort of moments or events. So, I mean, you say that one's obviously slated for this year. I mean, we're going to start to see from Coinsilium a few of these projects start to crystallize, you think, throughout the course of this year?
Yeah, we've got, I mean, there's at the moment in the kind of in the very near term, we have the Yellow Network token launch, and we have the next one we expect will be Otomato, but there's other projects we're working on, but they could be those are two that could be very, very meaningful for us, and I would argue transformative. I mean, you got to understand that this whole cycle that we've been waiting this stage in the cycle that we're waiting for is has been a long time in the making, and we've been doing is positioning ourselves for the last 2 years to actually be in a place where we can take advantage of that now that the cycle is beginning. Bitcoin is last time I looked was 99,500. It's definitely got all the fundamentals in place for it to drive high, and that drives the whole market, drives sentiment in the market, and it also gives us a great position to actually have more confidence in what we invest in going forward. So, I think that the takeaway I'd say for investors out of this is this is another example of how we're optimizing what we're doing in terms of actually generating returns for the business. So this will be about initially setting our crypto to work, but in the next stage is we can say, okay, we're doing this for our own crypto, and we're going to help build that grow the treasury through the crypto we're receiving. But with this engine, with this Otomato engine, what else can we do with that?
Sure.
What else can we do to actually enhance that? And there are lots of things you can do. So this is the time, we said to make hay while the sun shines. And this is the time we can actually, really put our foot down and actually accelerate our growth. And, that I don't have any doubt in my mind about what we can do once the market's in gear. But we've been waiting. It's very hard to do all the things that you want to do when the market's not receptive, because it's just no one's buying into it when the prices aren't moving in the right direction. But when they are, everyone buys into it. So I think we can see our share price has definitely moved in recognition of the of the way the market's improving. Although I would argue vociferously that we are, definitely not leading the way. We are following, because I think that investors are really at the moment not in the FOMO stage. They're in the stage where they sort of want to wait and see a little bit more evidence. But all we can do is sort of line things up for when the time comes for us to take advantage of it. So what happens is we come out with news that people look at, so that's encouraging, but they don't see it necessarily yet as something that shows that they're missing out, and that inevitably is when the herd comes in. So we've only had the first wave really of investors looking at us. I say the smart money, they're the ones with a risk appetite who actually can smell out something, and that's what we're certainly getting, and certainly the interactions I'm having with investors and shareholders is demonstrating that they're sort of. I say it's too early to congratulate us because at this level, I think our share price is just under 4p, but that's. I'm never one to over-egg it, but in real terms, once this market gets going, that's really nowhere near where it could potentially be, because everyone is scrambling for things. Everyone starts scrambling for things once they actually see that the train is moving.
Sure.
And that's with the market. And I think people will start to see the train really moving in the next kind of, I'd say, few months when we start seeing all these other developments in that are going on with Bitcoin, particularly in the driving seat. And so, very excited about this year. I think that if we get it right and release the news that we have in our bag, hopefully, that we're working on, then you'll see and shareholders will be very happy that they got in as early as they did.
Good. Well, it is exciting. Looking forward to seeing what this sort of bull cycle comes with the whole crypto space and Coinsilium. But for now, Malcolm Pallay, the chairman and co-founder of Coinsilium, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. I'm going to get back to work now. Cheers. Bye.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.